We are live. It is good to be back. Baby, it is good to be back. No more sickness. No more snotty nose. A little. Still maybe a little itsy-bitsy congested. But we're good. We're back live. We did the pre-recorded show last night, but we're back live, baby. We got the comments. It's time to go. I'm fired up. I am fired up. I did the pre-recorded show yesterday, and it sucked not having the comments and not having you guys in there, so it's good to be back live on AYS. So looking forward to it tonight, my good friends. We got a big show in store for you tonight. Tony Vitello, hello. Bring a Thundercat. Bring a Thundercat. Bring a Thundercat. Tony Vitello, is he going to be the next head coach at LSU? There is some sourcing going around, some of it fake, some of it true. We will talk about that as we do every day on Tuesdays. Hashtag Ask Blake. So put your comments in there. Hashtag Ask Blake. It helps me get in there and see and bring up all your comments. Matt Trent, our good friend, Mr. Matt Trent from WBRZ. Guys, the Catholic High news, if you haven't heard, we're going to talk a little bit about Catholic High. Does it affect recruits or potential players that could be going to LSU? What has he learned in his investigation as he broke some big news this week about Catholic High? And is Max Johnson separating himself from Miles Brennan as the next LSU quarterback? We'll get into that as well. God, it feels good to be back. Matt Hyde on YouTube says, let's go. Oh, by the way, we are monetized. Breaking news on YouTube. We are monetized. So everybody that sends the super bucks on the super chat, that's a mouthful. But thank you to everybody that does that since we are now monetized. Ryan Gidry says, let's get this party started. So does Kenny. So does Shannon. So does Corey. Chris Barnhill says, Tony the Tiger. There's a good ring to it. I know a lot of people don't like Tony Vitello, but we're going to talk about that. We're certainly going to talk about that. Nookie says anything that makes them sad, I'm in for it. Well, we will definitely see. It's going to be interesting moving forward. So we got baseball talk, Catholic High. I don't really talk a lot of high school stuff at all, but I think it's interesting. And I think it's something that we need to talk about. And KP Miles says, not a Vitello fan. Is he really a serious candidate? Yes, he is. And guys, I'm going to ask you this. Keep me updated on the Mississippi State-Virginia score. I knew it was 4-0, but please keep me updated as the show goes on. Okay, let's do this. We got a lot to get into tonight. Let's pay some bills around this thing, and then we'll get straight into it. And none better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. GM Varno & Sons has faithfully been serving your Denham Springs and Baton Rouge area for over 62 years. With their highly trained technicians, there's absolutely nothing that they can't do. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you on by. Go see him at 2500 Florida Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana. And, guys, we had some breaking news. Not the Tony Vitello breaking news, but Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards has passed the online betting in the state of Louisiana, and that will be going into effect sometime in the very near future. So we're excited about that. And so, since this is the month of June and it has been passed, you need to go over to betonline.ag for your next tip-off, face-off, pitch, College World Series, whatever it may be. Go over to betonline.ag, receive 50% off of your first deposit in that welcome bonus, and they will know your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you a buy. And it's really exciting as mobile betting has been passed in the state of Louisiana. BetOnline.ag. That's BetOnline.ag. All right, let's get into this. I see the comments are flowing. It does. And see, I see this here. Brian Viator says, great to see you again, Blake. Let's go. It's great to be back, guys. When the intro came in, I always get a little emotional. Today was a little bit more emotional than I intended it to be, but it just was what it was. All right. So what is the truth about Tony Vitello? I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing and what I've heard. Now, there is some rumors that Tony Vitello was offered a contract at $2.1 million. Some people have told me that, yes, that's true. And some people around LSU have told me, no, that's not true, but they have offered him a contract. I still do believe that it's coming down to a handful of coaches. Tony Vitello at the current moment. Now, this could change. At the current moment, Tony Vitello has not accepted a contract from LSU to be the next head baseball coach. There's been a lot, and I want to make this very, very simple to understand because I'm not going to call people out. I've done that, the recent weeks when they've done some really bad reporting and some really shitty reporting. There has been a constant bad PR and constantly bad reporting from people. Last week, it was Mike Bianco is going to accept the job Thursday and Friday of last week. That didn't happen. Kevin O'Sullivan, we remember in the very beginning, I kind of had a rant on Kevin O'Sullivan telling you that he had all the baggage. And that story broke out in Gainesville about him and, stuff he was doing outside of his marriage, and I'm just going to leave it there. And people said, oh, well, he is going to be the next head coach. That didn't come to fruition. Pat Casey interviews, then some people tell me that he never came to Baton Rouge for an interview from LSU, that they never interviewed him inside of Baton Rouge. That was put out there. People have said that he was the leading candidate. So I want to make it very clear that there's been some bad reporting. I have heard from multiple people today and of last week, and why I have been pushing hashtag bring the Thundercat. I think that there's a chance that Tony Vitello is in the top 2, top 1, top 3 of being your next head coach. Now, I know that a lot of people that do not want Tony Vitello have said this, that he's an asshole. Well, Nick Saban's an asshole. Urban Meyer is an asshole. A lot of great coaches have been assholes. A lot of great coaches have been assholes, but those great coaches that are assholes wins. Well, Blakey doesn't do it with class. Well, as Ben McDonald, our own Big McDonald, LSU's Big McDonald. Now, if you didn't see the game today, assistant at Tennessee got kicked out of the game for hitting a binder on the dugout after another Tennessee walk. The third base umpire runs across the diamond and tosses the assistant coach out, the pitching coach out. Now, Tennessee would go on to lose. The umpires, and I agree with Ben McDonald on this, the umpires were a little out of control. Guys, there's a new wave of baseball. There's an innovative wave of baseball coming in college baseball. And you're seeing it in the major leagues, and it's kind of starting to trickle down. Tony Vitello is a guy that could be here for 20, 25 years and win you a lot of baseball games. Guys, he got to Omaha, and let's just call it what it is. Tennessee does not and will not get the talent that LSU will. There are recruits. Now, I'm going to say this. So there's 391 people listening to us live right now. I'm going to say this, and I want you to understand. I have talked to recruits that are going to other colleges and other universities that did not sign with LSU right now that said if Tony Vitello were to be the next head coach at LSU, that they're coming. That's his effect. They want to play for Tony Vitello. Another thing that I continue to think about with this Tony Vitello thing is we always talk about getting younger when it comes to coaches in football. Why not Tony Vitello in baseball? Lane Kiffin's an asshole. If you've ever wanted Lane Kiffin to be your head coach, did you see what he posted on Twitter of Kirby Smart, Nick Saban being his daddy? Is that not him being an asshole and a troll? It is. I still do believe that Tim Corbin, the head coach at Vanderbilt, there is some people, some scouts, some media members, some people at LSU that still believe that Tim Corbin is a very strong possibility. Very strong possibility. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, I know that there's been a lot of people, like Kenny Finch said, Futch says here, 6-year deal, $2 million. That's not true. That's not true. That has not been confirmed. LSU, let me tell you this right there. This right here, this 6-year, $2 million deal that this is going around, that's not true. I would be shocked. absolutely shocked if LSU gave a baseball coach $12 million. Now, Jimmy Sexton, who LSU has had a bad relationship with in the past, is Tony Vitello's agent, who is a money fiend and a Tennessee alum. Understand that. So we'll see. Go Bear on YouTube says, Blake, if you can't get Vitello, what's your second choice? I think the coach in Arizona, Jake Johnson, makes sense. I think that a lot of people are saying O'Connor from Virginia, who's currently playing right now, but he has said he's not leaving Virginia. He told Paul Mainieri, point blank, coach, although I'm one of your great friends, and Paul Mainieri and O'Connor at Virginia are extremely close, he said he's not leaving Virginia. Lamonis at Mississippi State makes some sense. Jake Gautreaux. But I'm telling you right now, it's coming down to the top two guys in Tennessee. Top two Tennessee. Just if you don't remember anything, that's the truth. Top two Tennessee. So if you don't hear anything else, hear that. Daryl Fondo says, Vitello, believe that was one of my early picks. He can be our ass. Well, so is Will Wade. Will Wade has done that. What has Will Wade has brought more? Let me just say this: Will Wade has brought more headache to LSU and the NCAA being on campus than, quite honestly, that the wins would justify. Understand? I love Will Wade. I like Will Wade a lot. I think he's a damn good coach, a damn good recruiter. He's been more of a headache currently than the wins justify. Understand that. So, June, if you're going to stick up for Will Wade, don't you dare come at me with, well, Tony Vitello's a butthole, Blake. Don't do that. C. King from Talking Tigers Sports on Facebook says Nick Saban is a butthole, a-hole. That's true. But he wins, so it's their a-hole. That's true. It's very true. And look, what is being a butthole? Like, what are we doing that? Because there was a catcher's interference in the game against Texas, and he ran out there and says, "Your catcher's interference." Then they replay it, and then there was a catcher's interference. The guy's leaning across the plate. Well, Blake, he didn't make contact. Damn sure looked like they came close. Yes, he's going to argue a bad call. What is wrong with arguing a bad call? Guys, Tennessee doesn't have the talent that LSU does. Doesn't. Understand that. Nookie says that would be surprising. The rulemaking that comes after passing legislation is pretty involved, and honestly, so if it wasn't before December 1st, that is a win. I think it's going to be before December 1st. I think you're going to have it close to maybe a couple weeks after football season, if we're talking about sports betting. Sonny Wilson says Cliff Godwin, a winner. I think, I'm just being honest, I think Cliff Godwin's your backup plan. I think that if you don't get your guys, he's the guy you go after. Now, he's an ECU guy, ECU alum. Does he come to LSU after being passed over? Do they go back to Mike Bianco? But Mike Bianco just accepted an extension. So I still believe that the two guys that Scott Woodward's targeting, one just got eliminated today. And understand, guys, we have to take this slow. Okay? We have to – guys, he's going to fly back to Tennessee with his team. He's going to have exit interviews, and he's going to meet with his AD. Now, Tennessee is getting very nervous, and as much as they should, because Tony Vitello – and by the way, there's a report from a TV station out of Knoxville that Tony Vitello nor his representation has talked to LSU about him. That's bullshit. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. That's not true. Jimmy Sexton talks to everybody for his client. And if he doesn't talk to people, he acts like he talks to people to ram and shove the payment that you got to get out. Now, I understand that people are freaking out about the $2 million payout and the $2 million that you could give Tony Vitello. Guys, again, understand this. LSU this past year got $50+ million. $50+ million to be a part of the SEC and the SEC network. $50+ plus million, and we're talking about $2 million for a coach that could potentially bring you back to Omaha and win you a national title. I'm so tired and so over listening and hearing about money. I'm over with it, because the truth is that Joe Oliva and, God bless his soul, Skip Bertman did not spend the money. Woodward has gotten us to the point, and we have to realize Scott Woodward has gotten LSU to a point where boosters are going to give money and we're going to spend it. Exactly what LSU should be. Hey, Kim Mulkey wants to come to LSU. Kim Mulkey wants to come home, a multiple-time national championship coach. Okay, we'll pay her. We'll find a way. Hey, Shaq, you got some chump change laying around? Jacob Marceau, that's a fun name to say since we had a pitcher named Marceau, says Vitello has attitude. He's a badass. I wouldn't be upset with him. LSU baseball needs some attitude. Yeah, they need some attitude. You know what's funny about this too? In the hold the rope, do you remember when Skip Bertman got tossed and he turns his hat around and he starts getting in the umpire's face? What's different with that? If you want to talk about class, what's different with Skip Bertman? And don't you dare say national titles, because this has nothing to do with class. What's the difference of him turning his hat around and getting in an umpire's face versus what we've seen Tony Vitello do? Just telling you. And we have to also, the LSU faithful, I love all of you. I make a living talking LSU athletics. Like, literally make a living doing this. It's what you see, these beautiful. I don't ask you guys for money. I don't ask you to buy my shirt. Buy my shirt. Buy my really crappy shirt. I don't ask you to do that. I'm going to tell you this, though. It's kind of like the family, when the family member tells you some news that some things you probably need to hear, but it's tough to hear. LSU baseball is not well, let me back up. The program as a whole is the pinnacle. Right now, we're not there. We're not even close. Super regional or not. Super regional or not. We're not back to Omaha. We're not back to that pinnacle. Now, I don't know if we probably might not be able to get back in my generation back to the Skip days where where Vandy is right now, getting to Omaha and possibly that can win a back-to-back national championships. 5 and 10 years. I don't think that we can get there. We just can't. Kyle says 4-0 bottom 3. Okay, so Mississippi State is still down. Eric says, come on home to Tony Vitello. And C. King says, speak your truth, Blake. Well, it is the truth, guys. We have to be realistic with ourselves right now. This young age, let me ask all of you right now, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Would you bring Joe Brady back? LSU's best offensive coordinator in the history of football, would you bring him back? If your answer is yes, we have video footage of him sitting in the press box saying, they can't effing stop us. After what he did to LSU, would you bring him back? Guys, the reason that there are people out there that don't like this, because there is a new age coming. The new age is here. Either we're going to have to adapt or we're going to die. Now, Tim Corbin is something interesting. Tim Corbin is very interesting when it comes to all of this. If he does, for whatever reason, come to LSU. Now, I don't know if he will or not. I feel like that's a really tough one. A very tough one. You're going to have to spend over $2.5 million. You're going to have to spend $2.5 million. But are we having this same debate? Are we having this same talk in 7 years? You are. We are. We'll see. That's just the God's honest truth. So I see look at all of Gator Man, Perry Mason, get out of here, Florida fan. John says yes. Nathan says yes. Ryan Thibodeau says yes. Adam Hunt says yes. Kurt Paul says no because no one is reporting. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on. Would you bring back Joe Brady? If God forbid, bless his soul too, Ed Orgeron's not your head coach, would you know good and damn well fans would be saying, bring Joe Brady. So I don't want to hear that. Jason McKenzie gives a thumbs up. Adam King gives a thumbs up. Buster Tanner gives a thumbs up. Chris Barnhill says, Well, sorry. Go Pooh Bear gives a thumbs up. Craig Jones says some LSU fans want a quote unquote yes man as a coach. Tony V intimidates them. Exactly, Craig. I mean, exactly. 100%. That's exactly what's going on. That's the exact truth. Feeling a little spicy tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Catholica! Matt Trent's going to be joining us, and well, it should be now. I need to text him. You want to know? You want to know some real gossip? Wait till we start talking about Catholic High. Unless my man's trying to break some news. Gatorman Perry says he is a perfect fit for LSU's fiery. I agree with that one. Richie says, hashtag ask Blake, what has Tony? Oh, that tiger. Nothing. I mean, guys, he's going to go back to Tennessee with his team. He's going to do exit interviews with his team. Unless things move quickly. Now, Scott might move quickly, but you're going to have to move quickly on him. Tennessee, let's just call it what it is. Tennessee is a dumpster fire. Tennessee is a dumpster fire. Guys, I'm hearing things from people around the SEC, people that we bring on this show, because you guys know that we go around the SEC, and we've been chit-chatting. Got a guy from Tennessee who's going to be coming on in a couple weeks. We kind of chit-chat. Guys, everything going on with Tennessee and their football program, they're about to get popped. Now, that I get that that's the football program, but look, there's a lot of shit that's about to be going down in Tennessee that I don't know if Tony Vitello wants to be a part of. Can Tennessee pay the money to build a new baseball field? Absolutely. But LSU has it there, and they can do additions and renovate and do better things at the box currently right now. Guys, I'm gonna throw this out here. Tony Vitello comes to LSU. If Tony Vitello comes to LSU, he wins a national championship in 3 years. I have no doubt in that in my mind. Could you imagine? Tony Vitello did not have a Dylan Cruz. Tony Vitello did not have a Trey Morgan. And Tony Vitello sure as hell didn't, in the beginning of the season, have a pitching staff with Jane Hill, which, let's call it what it is. Jane Hill would have never been a starter. He would have been a reliever and would have been a back-end guy. And Tony Vitello would have been able to manage it. And look, he's a guy that uses analytics, something that I don't want to say Paul doesn't do, but Paul hasn't done in the past. He hasn't done in the past. So we'll see. I just texted Matt Trent. We'll see. If not, we'll talk a little bit of Catholic High. Carl Dunn says, oh, Lord, Sexton is involved. Jimmy Sexton is involved. That's his agent. But a lot of Tennessee coaches do get Jimmy Sexton after they leave. They fire him. The only one that I can remember, but he was already his agent, is Lane Kiffin, who retained Jimmy Sexton. Jimmy Sexton has 2/3 of the market, guys. You're not going to stop it. The chances of a coach having Jimmy Sexton as their agent is very likely. It's highly likely in college athletics. So you're going to deal with Jimmy Sexton. Preston says Sexton is a TV agent, ? Not good news. Historically, he has given LSU challenges in the past. He's also at times been good to LSU. He's just going to do exactly what it is for his client. He doesn't care about Tennessee. He doesn't give a shit about LSU. The only man that he truly gives a damn about is Nick Saban, because Saban pays him so much damn money. Chelsea Roberts says it's not $2 million. It's the difference in Maneri's salary and $2 million. People need to calm down. I did hear that it was going to be close to one. It could be as close to 1.8 to 2 million. So there is one. I mean, look, and that could be bringing staff members over. But again, people saying that this is a done deal have lost their godforsaken mind. It's not a done deal. That's why all this bad reporting has happened, because it's not a done deal. People were saying Mike Bianco just last week was a done deal. I had to run my happy fat ass out here and tell you it wasn't a done deal. How many times last week did I tell you that Mike Bianco was not a done deal? And you got everybody out there reporting it's a done deal. How many times, guys? I mean, shit, it felt like 3 or 4 times last week. At minimum. Spike McCullough says, Andy Cannizzaro. Oh, God. Let me write this time down. I'm going to make a short clip of this. 28 minutes. Okay. Spike, I love you. Hopefully I can put this one in the butt about Andy Cannizzaro being the next head coach. Guys, I get what you're saying. I think Andy Cannizzaro is a good coach. I think that people need second chances, and I think that he might be one of those people that need second chances. LSU is getting sued for $50 million because of alleged cover-ups of sexual assault. Andy Cannizzaro was fired for texting his secretary in the dugout and having an affair on his pregnant wife. The optics of Andy Cannizzaro are exactly, maybe a little bit less than what Pat Casey was. Is Andy Cannizzaro a good coach? Yes, he's not bigger than Pat Casey because he was texting his secretary who he was having an affair with while his wife was pregnant. Now, do people need second chances? Absolutely. Absolutely, people need second chances. We got to stop with this Andy Cannizzaro to LSU bullshit. We have to. Andy Cannizzaro maybe deserves a second chance, but not right now. All right, we're going to get to WBRZ's Matt Trent. My man's been breaking news all week, talking about Catholic High and the Rudy Poo shit going on at Catholic. All right, let's do this. Let's get to a quick break. If you want to know some stuff about Catholic, stay here. How is it going to affect recruiting? How's it going to affect LSU? Probably won't, but we'll talk to Matt Trent, who's been doing all of that. And, guys, you got to go see my good friend, Mr. John Patton, over at GMFS Mortgage. Guys, if you're thinking about buying a new home, saving money on that mortgage you have now, even doing that cash-out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with John Patton from GMFS Mortgage today, 225-614-1234. That's 225-614-1234. Purchase, refinance, build, and or renovate. GMFS and John Patton can do that for you today. GMFS, they're changing lives. And our good friend, Mr. Richie Roche, over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape, 225-937-7220. That's 225-937-7220. If you want the best looking yard in your neighborhood, tell them Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by, because they will deliver that for you. Again, that's Richie Roche at Roche's Lawn and Landscape, 225-937-7220. You know who sent you by. All right. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Matt Trent. Before we get started, my man's been breaking news to the left. He's been breaking news to the right. Catholic High is got to get rid of 2 state titles, and they got to forfeit 2 state runner-ups. I'm going to start here. Matt, what the hell is going on at Catholic?
The real question is, what's not going on? I mean, that's the real question. It's something new all the time. I feel like I'm covering LSU again. It's something new all the time. I had a buddy text me the other day. He goes, "Do you ever get tired of just doing something of this magnitude every single week?" And honestly, no. It's been a fun couple months. But no, you're talking about Catholic, and this has been something we've heard about since last year. We have heard a little bit of rumblings about stuff going on, and not just recruiting. And look, I think that the reason this is such a big deal is when you get caught doing something that everybody knows about, but you get caught for the first time, everyone is going to have that aha moment, that light bulb going off, being like, "I told you so." And that's what you've got here. Mm-hmm. Look, I hate to break it to you, Catholic is not the only private school in the country that recruits. It happens from coast to coast. If you think IMG Academy is pulling kids out of the Bradenton, Florida area, they have a talent pool there, and you think Bishop Gorman is doing it in Nevada, they just happen to have top 50 recruits growing on trees, you are sadly mistaken. It happens everywhere. And I think this is just a deal of, there are a lot of optics to this, and there are a lot of things that were done behind closed doors. And I'm not just talking about Catholic, I'm talking about the LHSAA as well. that
Oh, shit.
things don't add
Oh,
up.
shit.
Things don't add up correctly. Things
So
just don't
you
add
mean
up.
to tell me that Catholic High and some other people were doing bad? Well, let's start here. Let's not go down that route. Let's start here. What did you discover? What was the biggest thing to you, Matt, when working this story that you discovered that was like, oh man, like this is about to get real? Because I know that you've been working this for a while, and I know that yesterday it came to a head. Was there something when you were investigating, or is there something now that you would want to share that you were like, oh man, this is about to happen? And talk about, a lot of people have been bringing up in the chat about the LHSA and Eddie Bonin not making a real comment. What's going on with that? What have you gathered there?
So I'll start with Eddie Bonin and not making this public knowledge. I have only been in Baton Rouge for a little bit over 2 years. I was not here during the Southern Lab issues. I was not here during the McKinley sanctions and issues. So I have no living experience in real time of those issues. However, this week I was sitting with our news director and I said, let's go back and see what kind of statement was made with Southern Lab and McKinley. Both of them, a statement was released. Both of them, a press conference or media availability was done. Okay. And pretty much both of them, to a certain extent, had the same allegations and violations and sanctions that Catholic had. Recruiting issues. I think, if I'm not mistaken, McKinley had some issues with some academics. So a little bit of similarities compared to Catholic. I find it interesting that we have a decision made. Public wasn't made aware of it. And we've been hearing about this for a year. Public wasn't made aware of it. And from my understanding, the ruling and the sanctions have been handed down for close to a month. So we've been sitting on this for close to a month and nobody has said anything. It's really not Catholic's job to say anything. They don't have to say anything. But the governing body of Louisiana high school athletics, they laid down the sanctions. They did the probe and the investigation. Why are you not releasing your findings? And why are you not answering questions that not just us in the media, but the public have? That's my number one.
I agree with you, and I'm not going to put you in this situation. And I'm just going to speak for myself. Matt, there's a term in baseball called Bush League. Okay. This is some Bush League shit. Okay. The simple fact that they can't go out there and make a statement, the simple fact that the LHSAA is, and look, because of the public perception, it feels like a cover up. So what else have they covered up? Right? Like a lot of people and look, I know that you are not one of these individuals, and I wouldn't be friends with you if you were, but a lot of individuals are skeptic of how things look in public when schools like Catholic get through something like this and no real knowledge is known. We don't know. I mean, you know that it's recruiting violations. You just brought it up on the show, but the general public doesn't know that. Why do you think that Eddie Bonin has been, without not just saying for myself, been Bush League, and why do you think that the LHSAA hasn't made a statement? If they've done it before, what it could, let me ask it this way. Could we assume that there might be something down the future of why that could happen to Catholic that we might not be aware of at this moment?
Yes.
Okay. I'll leave it there.
Here's
All right.
here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I'll tell you. I can't go into certain details because some of the stuff has been told to me off the record. But what I will tell you is that there is an axe to grind with Catholic by Eddie Bonin. This is not just a random, oh, you're recruiting. Oh, we're going to look into this. Eddie Bonin has previous experiences with Catholic that are not positive. I will tell you that. And some of them are on a LHSAA legislation level. Some of them are on a personal level. Okay. That's all I can say. But this is not just we're doing this because it's the right thing to do. And we're bringing justice to Louisiana high school athletics. I can tell you right now, 100%, it has nothing to do with that.
The only reason I ask you that question, and I know how it could come off, and the only reason I asked you that question before is because, Matt, it's the number one question I'm fielding, right? Like it literally in my DMs is it over? What's going on?
Nope.
Is it over? What's
Nope.
going on?
Nope.
And so when I ask you that question, it's like how do we know? And I know that you've been on this story from the beginning. And the reason that I can't say anything is because I don't fully know, and that's where there's not a lot of transparency with the LHSA. Now, I would wonder, and I don't know if you've gotten to this. The Catholic made a statement in reference to it, and they put it out there of what was going on. Other than that, do you think that there has been were they expecting, I guess, to put out that statement, or was there public pressure or pressure from others to put that statement out? Do you think that this ever would have come to light if people like yourself wouldn't have been on the forefront looking into this kind of stuff?
No, because the people that I've talked to around Catholic, around the LHSAA and involved with it, the feeling that I got is that this was going to be released publicly months from now, before the 2021 season, high school football season, but months from now. And myself and other media people, look, every media person that I've talked to have said, yeah, we've are just like me. We have known about this from the very beginning of last year. I first heard about little rumblings last year, a little bit, minor stuff. Hey, this is going on. Eddie Bonine snooping around. He's mad at, Catholic for this and that. Okay, whatever. And then this year is when it really got ramped up. We started, and I say us as in the media and the journalists here in Baton Rouge, we started looking into stuff, and I think people started panicking. And both sides, I think that they knew that something was going to come out. And let me tell you, we are not even close to being done. We're not even close to being done. I wish I could show you the pages and pages of interviews and stuff that I've done over the past 2 months and the stuff that I've gotten, because we're not even close to being done. We're not even close to being done with stuff coming out from Catholic, because we obviously haven't heard Gabe Fertitta's side. We've just heard one side of everything. We've heard LHSAA and we've heard Catholic, who is respecting LHSAA's policy of we do not comment on investigations. That's one side. We have not heard anyone that has either been Gabe Fertitta, a former coach on his staff, or a player publicly on the record come out and say, this is what happened. This is how it went down. And I guarantee you that's coming very soon.
Matt, with everything with the NCAA and name, image, and likeness, stay with me here, and all the transparency that SCOTUS just put out. Everybody wants to be transparent. The NCAA now has to be more transparent on name, image, and likeness and all this kind of stuff. Does it feel to you, and I'm going to get to Gabe Fertitta in a minute, does it feel to you that this week that the LHSAA and high school athletics in this state took a step back by not just being up front with it? Meaning, do you think that this hurts Louisiana high school football or just Louisiana sports in general because they're unwilling to have the gonads to say anything about it? Do you feel that way like I do?
1,000,000%. I was told by someone in Baton Rouge, and I think this applies everywhere in the country when it comes to high school sports, public schools have voting power, private schools have political power.
Right.
And I think
Correct.
that you saw with how things are handled at McKinley, how things were handled at Southern Lab, the LHSAA gives preferential treatment. That's the long and short of it. You can't tell me that putting things face to face and back to back of all three of those cases, that they're all different and they're all independent of one another in terms of violations, in terms of allegations, and in terms of sanctions. You can't tell me that they're all three different, because they're not.
I completely agree there. And let's look at Gabe Fertitta. Now, I'm not going to come out here because I have not heard anything from him. But, Matt, they took 2 state titles and 2 state runner-ups away from Catholic when Gabe Fertitta was the head coach of Catholic. Right now with the optics, is it safe to assume that Gabe, I mean, and look, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but until we have more knowledge, does it look as if, or seem as if, or feel as if that Gabe Fertitta left because of things that are going on at Catholic? And I mean, because look, again, and I'm putting you in a very tough situation, and I understand that. But Matt, everybody's asking in the comments right now about these questions. For example, Charlie just brought up one. So, what do you think is going on with Gabe Fertitta? Do you think that we hear from him? Do you think that he was a part in all this because of the 4 years that they sanctioned him on this?
What I will say is I know Gabe a personal level. Gabe was one of the first coaches that I ever had a relationship with when I came to Baton Rouge. And that is why it has been very hard during these past 2 months and even this past year of fielding all of these questions and doing my reporting and stuff and having to look at things from an unbiased perspective. I'm going to be totally honest because I know what kind of man Gabe Fertitta is. I know what kind of coach he is. And I know what kind of husband he is. And I know what he's done for those kids at Catholic, whether they should have been there or should not have. So it is hard for me to say yay or nay on whether he knew. I got the impression from him, and I'm not going to talk about our conversations. I got the feeling from him that he had no idea. He had no idea until he left. The investigation started in March, and it ended in May. And I get the feeling from him. And let me tell you something. Them saying, the LHSAA saying that investigation started in March is just no.
It's bullshit.
I have people telling me, multiple people, that they knew about or were interviewed in August of 2020. So take that for what you will. I've got it confirmed.
So basically during the whole season, Matt. So I mean, look, I mean, if your school's getting investigated, I mean, it's tough to say that. I mean, look, I don't know that. It'd be interesting to see the statement that comes out. What's your feel from local high schools, public, private, about this? Has anybody reached out to you, and not specifically names? What's the general feel from the public high school realm in reference to this news breaking that you guys broke yesterday?
I've got a lot of mixed reviews because Catholic is not just a Louisiana State brand. It is becoming a national brand. They're a top 30 football program in the country. You know, they're playing a national schedule. They're this year they're going out to Baltimore to play Our Lady of Good Counsel, which is historically a very good football program in Maryland. So they're getting recognition, and they're being able to build their brand. And I have heard from local coaches, they're ecstatic. Hey, we love this. This is great. I've heard people say, yeah, we don't really care about this. This is fine. We hate it for Gabe. We hate it for Gabe. I haven't really heard of people say, obviously Catholic alums are upset and current Catholic parents are upset, but the feeling has been good for them. They deserve it, blah, blah, blah. That sucks for Gabe. And look, let's be honest again. A lot of it is jealousy. A lot of it is jealousy because Catholic has won. Catholic has been successful. They get the top athletes. They get the top kids there, and they send kids off to really good college football programs, and they win a lot. That's what it is. That's the long and short of it. And so that jealousy and a lot of that pent-up jealousy is coming up now, and anger, and it's understandable. I get it. I went to public high school. I know what it was like playing the private school kids, and they murdered us. It was fine. But like, when you always want to see the giant fall and you always want to do it, you always want to see Goliath fall at the hands of David, right? So that's kind of what we're dealing with.
Last question, and I know that you're a busy man and you got, I'm sure like everybody's calling you, because let me look at you. You look like you just walked out of a GQ magazine. I'm just letting you know.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's good to see you got that check I sent you to say that. I appreciate it.
All right, last question. Do you think that moving forward there will be a little bit more I don't know the word, Matt, here to ask. Do you think that there will be more private and public schools that'll be a little bit more careful in how they do things? Because look, let's just call it what it is. Catholic was the top dog in our state when it comes to football. Do you think that this sets the precedent moving forward, or do you think people are like, yeah, whatever, and they'll just continue to do what they're doing?
Do you think that college basketball coaches stopped paying kids when Will Wade got caught? I mean, I'm being dead serious. Like, do you think that when John Calipari fudged Derrick Rose's SAT scores, do you think
God
people
bless
stop?
Jesus.
Do you?
No.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean, I'm looking on Twitter and seeing red Dodge Chargers dropped off in the driveway of Georgia and Alabama recruits.
I mean, so, everybody at Bama's got a Dodge Charger.
Look, I got 1 year of eligibility left in a sport other than baseball, and I would love a second car. So sign me up. You know, I'll punt, I'll do whatever. But I'm serious. I think the deal here with, and I think the thing that I'm interested in with Catholic is, what do we define as recruiting? The term recruiting. If I go out and I go to a football game and I've got some kids I'm interested in at, Santa Ma, and I got an off week and I show up on the sidelines in a Catholic pullover and a Catholic hat, and I ask a kid, hey, what's your deal? What's your deal for next year? I'm looking to go somewhere else. Have you heard about Catholic? Here's a flyer. We got an open house next week. Is that recruiting? Now, I think we get confused with poaching and recruiting. I think those are two different things. But like, if I just show up and hand you a flyer, an informative flyer about Catholic High, am I recruiting you or am I informing you? And I think that's where we draw. I think that's the fine line there.
Matt, I agree with you. And look, I'm not going to go down that route because I think that, we would be speculating, but a lot of people are asking. And look, I'll just get to that. I'll get to that later. But when I personally think of recruiting, I think of money changing hands, but because that has been what colleges have shown us in the past of what recruiting looks like. So we'll see. Matt Trent from WBRZ. Dude, I know it's been tough, but you didn't have a lot to go off of. And look, man, you're just the GOAT. You're the GOAT. So I appreciate you for joining us tonight, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Hey, by the way, let me know if that check clears. If it does, I got to see if there's money in that account that I gave you.
I'll give you to the first of the month. What about that? I'll give you to the first of the month. Okay. I know paycheck went on the first of the month.
I got to call my accountant and see if I can move some money around. So, and I got to pay for that Dodge Charger somehow now. I gotta pay for it somehow. So, but
I'm not getting into the talk about accountant. But where can they find you, my brother?
I'm on Twitter at MCTrent23. That's primarily where I do all of the stuff. So. Yeah, and email mtrent@wbrz.com if you got a question or just want to tell me how terrible I am at my job. I'm here for both, whatever.
Or if you got news on Catholic, send something over to my boy. How about that? How about that? All right, yeah. Matt, I really appreciate you joining, man. We'll talk soon, my friend. All right, brother. All right, that's Matt Trent from WBRZ, who is our guest. I'm going to tell you something, and I see C. King says Lafayette Christian has won 4 state titles in a row in football. I agree with that. I'm going to say this from my own volition, in my own opinion. I know that I put Matt in somewhat of a tight spot and a tough spot, but I think at some point, like, we don't know what's going on at Catholic. And I don't want to hear there's 3 things that I don't want to hear. Number 1, I see some things about Carr's a public, or, well, I'm going to leave that one alone. But number 1, I don't want to hear about they're helping kids better in education. because that's not what the reason that they're there for. If they're there for that, then go get other kids who are really intelligent and bring them to your school, not just kids that are playing football and are really athletic. Let's not go down that route. And let's not say this. I saw a comment, and I forget who put it. Eddie Bonine's son got cut. That's not true. So I know that there's a guy that went to Catholic high school who's putting out fake rumors. And I know that we've kind of me and him have had our back and forth. You can't lie about that. It's just a radio bit to say Catholic High. It's not a radio bit. It's not. It's not a radio bit. Your school got popped. And what's funny to me is that same individual runs out there and says, fire Ed Orgeron. What about Gabe Fertitta? Because with all due respect to Gabe Fertitta, I don't know the man that well, really at all. But with all due respect to Gabe Fertitta, it looks like he cheated. Guys, the LHSAA popped him and took 4 years away. 4 years away. And we're supposed to, well, Blake, everybody does it. Yeah, Alabama also does it. But LSU got popped. So let's not act like for whatever reason, they still got popped. They're still guilty as all shit and all sin. A private Catholic school got caught with cheating. And you know what it means in recruiting. Recruiting has its own thing and pay to play. Guys, kids get paid to play in recruiting. That's what recruiting is. If everybody does it, it's still against the rules to do it. Then and I don't want to hear, well, Eddie Bonine has an axe. I don't like Eddie Bonine. I think he's a sham. I think he's a fugazi. I think a lot of things about Eddie Bonine. Don't really respect the man if we're being dead ass honest. But just because he had an axe to grind against you, you were still cheating. You still cheated. You're actively still cheating. They're actively still cheating. And I do believe that there's going to be more things that comes out. And it's not going to be good. All right. Get a couple more comments. I see that Justin, I saw your comment too. He says, speaking of checks, I'll give you as many as you want to never do that dumb Catholic High scone voice again. Catholic High. I got you. I just had to do one more. It's a joke, though. I mean, I'm saying it as a joke. If he can say it as a joke, why can't I? It's kind of like his Rudy Poo, I guess. But Rudy Poo doesn't go against recruiting violations. Rudy Poo does not pay to play for kids to go to a school. You got caught, guys. They got caught. I don't care about what other teams are doing. If the LHSA, it's their job to investigate teams in schools that do it. That's their job. If Madison Prep, which I don't know if they are, if other schools are doing it, report their ass. Have the proof. Here's another thing. And I heard that, Moscona said today, because I got sent the clip like 45 times, that it was and this is per him, and it's not true, that an old coach did all this and he was just doing this to get after Catholic. That's not true. What he told you and what he's reporting is not true. It is a doggone lie. It's not the truth. I promise you that. Don't let that man lie to you. What he said this morning is a lie. Anyway, what's up with Tony Vitello? Where's he at? We'll see. We'll see what's going on with all Tony Vitello. Darren says, #Ask Blake, is the merch store still available? It wouldn't load. We are currently out. That's why it's not loading. We're going to try to get it back out there, though. Charlie says, someone had to turn Catholic high school in to start the investigation. Sure, they did. But like every investigation, Eddie Bonon's son also went there. So you mean to tell me that a guy that investigated a school whose son was on the team, who, by the way, did not get cut, you mean to tell me that he didn't know? You mean to tell me that people weren't whispering in his ear? Guys, they were cheating, regardless of how it got turned in. Yeah, they went to an individual and asked him what happened, and as WAFB reported, as WBRZ reported, there was documents of them actively recruiting. What part of they have documentation, what part of them having documentation do people not understand? Where do you think that just came? Yeah, they forged it. Yeah, it's all fake to go after Catholic High. Oh, well, they're on top. So is LSU. So was LSU in 2019, and it's funny as hell how everybody came after LSU, isn't it? Innocent people in this situation don't get – schools like Catholic don't get popped if they're not guilty. Oh, Jesus. Perry Mason asked if we're tracking planes yet. Not yet. I didn't. I got sent the plane tracking thing a couple days ago, and I did it as a joke because everybody sends it to you. Might as well track the plane, even though it's Acadians. Matt Hyde says you could tell by the look on his face when he said it this morning that he didn't even believe what he was saying. No, it's not true. Adam Contreras in here. I love you to death. Parkview Baptist, every school, every private school has, I'm sure, been under investigation at some point. So have public schools. It's no different. If you want both of those schools in both private and public to come back together, you got to take shit down like that. Somebody outside of Eddie Bonon needs to be in that situation. Guys, this isn't good for your state. This is not good for my state. This is not good for our state. Let's move on. Jeffrey says, hashtag ask Blake, do you want Vitello? He's personally, I do, but I also could see Corbin. I could see maybe Lamonis at Mississippi State. We'll see. Dylan Holly says, those of us on the west side of the state have no idea what's going on. Sorry. Travis Webb says he might not yet, but his agent has. Look, Jimmy Sexton been working this thing for a while. Charlie says, again, 4 years of multiple violations. Catholic High paid the fines and did not appeal the sanctions. Again, so then why defend it? So then why defend it today and say that somebody was out to, someone's out to go get Port Catholic? I mean, nobody's out to get you, bro. Wayne McBride, let's get to this. He says, what's up with Max Johnson? Okay, let me talk about this. I've been hearing this and have been told this over the last 2 weeks. Guys, I really believe and have been hearing from people inside LSU that I really think Max Johnson is starting to separate himself from Miles Brennan, from his teammates, from the playbook, from things that LSU wants to do in this RPO game. I hear from people in that building that Max Johnson is starting to separate himself. It's not surprising to me. Like, it's not surprising to me that Max Johnson would separate himself from Miles, especially when you're going to an RPO type system. Now, everybody's saying, well, quarterback doesn't run an RPO. Tell that to the DN and linebacker that have to read the same zone read. Okay, Max, in my opinion, gives you the best ability to extend plays. And look, well, Blakey doesn't have a bazooka arm like Miles Brennan. And where did that bazooka arm get you last year? Playbook, teammates, being a leader. The biggest thing has been being a leader, bringing guys out to go throw. Jack Besh, Keyshawn Boutte, multitudes of guys. Ty Davis Price, bringing those guys out to go run routes and get their timing down. You haven't seen that from Miles Brennan. And I hate to say it about Miles Brennan, but we all know that Miles has had the problems in the past of liking to go hunting and fishing. Like drinking my Miller Lights and driving my truck. It's just the truth. Charlie, I agree with it. He says this is terrible for high school sports in Louisiana. Well, don't cheat. Jeremy Marshall says LHSA in general has made Louisiana athletics terrible. I don't disagree. C. King says people that think LSU owes Brennan something doesn't understand life. Yeah, nobody deserves anything. How do you work there? Look, everything you see here, the wall, the computer, the headset, everything that we got going on here, nobody gave it to me. Nobody said, hey, Blake, here's $10,000 worth of equipment. Go make sure you can go out here and do this. Nobody did that for me. Not one person. We had to build this from the ground up. Miles has to build it. He's got to be the best guy. And I agree with C here. I completely agree with C. You cannot just say somebody deserves something when the other guy behind him technically would be better. My opinion. Chris Klein says best man needs to get the job. Nothing is owed. I agree with that. Justin says my question is what if he gets hurt because it's a good chance Miles Brennan hauls ass? What? Justin, I'm just going to bring it up. My question is what if? Guys, we can't play in the what if game. Alabama had 2 quarterbacks last year. Did Mac Jones get hurt? No, he didn't. That's how today's society of quarterbacks is going to run. Go look at depth charts across the country and see how many have 3 scholarship quarterbacks. Yes, some will. Maybe barely. Maybe somebody who has a senior, a sophomore, and maybe a freshman they just brought in. There's not a lot of teams that have a multitude of quarterbacks. You can't say, oh, start Miles Brennan because what happens if Max gets hurt? Well, guys, Miles Brennan's been hurt every single year. What if Max Johnson leaves? You're still in the same boat. Max isn't going to leave, but you get what I'm saying. Can't live in fear. Justin also asked, how's Nuss looking out here? Pretty good. Mike Scarborough said he saw him and said he was up to 190 pounds. So that's good. All right, a couple more. We got to get out of here. Man, it's been an hour and 5 minutes. Justin says, let me see. Marvin asked me, do I think Miles leaves? If he doesn't start, I think there's a strong possibility. Russ says, sounds like another great quarterback that went to Louisiana Tech back in the day. Hashtag hunting fishing. Yeah, he might have been. He got a TV show, but he didn't win nothing in football. He can have his own TV show. I really don't care. I love you, Russ. Last one, we're getting out of here. Ryan Hicks says your quarterback is this era, has to be able to move. It opens everything up. Non-mumble statute quarterbacks is over, besides Brady. Look, and Brady moves inside the pocket. Go look at film at how athletic Brady is in the pocket. He's not going to beat you with his, running, but he's very athletic in the pocket. He knows what to do. All right, guys, we will see you again tomorrow. You guys have a good night. Stay blessed. Let's go watch some baseball. Well, we have a baseball coach tomorrow. We'll see. All right, guys, have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.